8 signs you have a gluten intolerance. Before we start with this video, I would like to ask you a simple question. Do you know what's gluten sensitivity? Well, gluten sensitivity or intolerance is a condition that causes a person to react after ingesting gluten, which is a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. The most common symptoms and warning signs of gluten intolerance are gastrointestinal problems, joint pain, fatigue, and depression. This is why you should know that it is quite common for people to experience digestive and health problems from eating wheat or gluten. Found primarily in wheat, barley, and rye, gluten intolerance can result in a number of different symptoms. Do you know what is wheat? Wheat is a type of grain that is commonly found in breads, cereals, and pasta. Less common sources include condiments such as salad dressings and soups. You should also know that barley is another abundant variety of grain, which is often used for brewing and stock feed products. Rye is the last type of grain that uses gluten as an ingredient. Rye is most often found in cereals, beer, and breads. Consuming these types of foods and beverages is often how one discovers their intolerance to gluten. Have you ever heard of the term celiac disease? Celiac disease is a serious type of gluten intolerance which is classified as an autoimmune disorder. You should also know that the celiac disease causes damage to the small intestine. When those with the disease consume gluten, it initiates an abnormal immune response that directly attacks the intestines. Eventually, damage caused to the intestines significantly lessens the body's ability to properly absorb nutrients. If you don't treat it on time, the celiac disease can result in long-term health complications. Note: the medical experts claim that if people who are sensitive to gluten eliminate their symptoms reside after the product is eliminated from their diet. With that said, certain symptoms exist that may individual an intolerance to gluten. These are the most common warning signs of gluten intolerance. Skin problems. You should know that gluten has been linked to acne, psoriasis, eczema, and dermatitis herpetiformis. The most common skin symptoms coming from gluten intolerance often includes burning, redness, rashes, itchiness, and even blistering. Dermatitis herpetiformis can be a very dangerous condition. It's a chronic disease of the skin marked by groups of watery, itchy blisters that may resemble pimples or blisters. Exhaustion and fatigue. A recent study has examined the purported correlation between fatigue, exhaustion, and gluten intolerance, and the medical experts think that gluten intolerance parallels fatigue through inflammation and the de-allocation of the body's energy reserves. Abnormal function of the immune system. First, you should know that when a person is sensitive or intolerant to gluten, the antibodies have a counteracting effect on the immune system. Found primarily in the gastrointestinal tract and saliva, the antibodies are the body's primary defense against colds, flus, and other illnesses. Obviously, when these same antibodies counteract our immune system, we're much more likely to contract such illnesses. Joint and muscle aches. Did you know that joint pain and inflammation are common symptoms of gluten sensitivity? The inflammatory effects spurred on by gluten intolerance is the underlying reason for joint and muscle pain. A recent study reveals the real link between the two diseases. The Arthritis Foundation has also published findings that link arthritis and joint pain with gluten sensitivity. Dental problems. A recent study has found a relation between gluten sensitivity and aphthous stomatitis, a condition often associated with recurrent mouth ulcers and canker sores. You should also know that people who are sensitive to gluten usually have very low levels of calcium, which is a very important substance for healthy teeth. Headaches and migraines. We all know that migraines can be really painful headaches sometimes. The medical experts claim that migraines are far more common in gluten-intolerant people than in the general population. A recent study has found that people who are gluten intolerant have greater chances to suffer from a migraine, compared to people who don't have any problems with gluten. Brain fog. Brain fog is one of the most surprising symptoms of gluten intolerance. Brain fog can be one of the more enigmatic symptoms, simply due to the fact that a number of things can cause it. A recent study has discovered abnormal reactivity to gluten in a class of antibodies known as immunoglobulin. It is believed that this reaction contributes to diminished cognitive performance. Unexpected weight gain. You should know that the weight gain from gluten intolerance results from two things. First, malabsorption and gut permeability, two side effects of gluten intolerance, and second, systemic inflammation, which is triggered by gluten. Gluten intolerant individuals that eliminate gluten from their diet are often able to revert back to a healthy weight level. We really hope you find this video helpful, and don't forget to share it with your friends and family. Thank you.